Hello everyone, welcome to StudyIQ. So we will continue our discussion on socio-religious reform movements. Okay, so we were actually discussing about 19th century socio-religious reform movements. We have already done with the discussion on Rajaram Mohan Roy. Now in this session we will be talking about Wahabi movement. Okay, so if you remember, I've already told you when we discuss about 19th century socio-religious reform movements, we'll discuss it in terms of reformist movement on one side and revivalist movement on the other side. So since we have done with one reformist movement that was related to Raja Ram Mohan Roy and Brahmo Sabha, we have discussed in detail. Now we are going to discuss one revivalist movement. Since we have done related to Hindu movement here, we will discuss a Muslim movement from revivalist side, and that is what Wahabi movement. Okay, now there will be a lot of questions whether it is having any connection with Khilafat movement which was there during the time of non-cooperation movement. All those things we have discussed when we discussed about Khilafat non-cooperation movement. At that time itself I've discussed about this already, but here also we will see in detail the ideology, the concepts, and how it performed, whether there was any role in 1857 revolt by Wahhabis, what are the Wahhabi trials, the Bala trial, Patna trial, and all those things we'll see in this particular session. Okay, so let's get into the discussion. So this word Wahabi is actually derived from a person, Wahab ibn Arabi, who lived in Saudi Arabia. So Wahab Ibn Arabi, who lived in Saudi Arabia in 18th century. Okay, so he wanted to revive Islamic tradition like during the time of Prophet Muhammad and the four caliphs. So in his opinion, actually the Islam was in its pure form during the time of Prophet Muhammad and the four caliphs. So actually he wanted to revive Islam back to that time. So that is the reason why we calling it as revivalist movement. So when we discuss about one of the other revivalist movement, that is Arya Samaj, there also it is like the slogan itself is go back to Vedas. That means go back to Vedic period. Okay, so here also go back to the period where Prophet Muhammad and four caliphs were living. So the four caliphs are, I'll tell you that I'll name that four caliphs. Okay, so the first one, Abu Bakr, Umar Farooq, Usman Affan, and Ali Abi Talib. Okay, so basically in his opinion, Islam was in its pure form during 7th century when Prophet Muhammad and the first four caliphs were there. And now there are many changes started witnessing in Islam and in Islamic tradition. So in India, people who were influenced by Wahab ibn Arabi are Shah Abdul Aziz, the son of famous Sufi saint Shah Waliullah, and then Sayyid Ahmad of Rai Bareli. So don't confuse this Sayyid Ahmad with Sayyid Ahmad Khan. That is different. We already have discussed about Sayyid Ahmad Khan in many areas. Okay, and in the next session we will be taking up a separate discussion on Sayyid Ahmad Khan. We will discuss one reformist movement from Muslim side. So we'll talk about Sir Sayyid Ahmad Khan in detail. But this Sayyid Ahmad is Sayyid Ahmad of Rai Bareli, a different person. Okay, so they use jihad as the political slogan. We will get into the details of that later. Now their objectives, if you see the objectives, there are two objectives, out of which the first one is okay, there is not much problem, it was actually required and it was good, but the second one was the problem, okay, or the controversial one. The first objective was reform Islamic society. See, in their opinion, there are some practices in Islam which are un-Islamic, so you have to reform Islam way back in 7th century. Okay, and second one, establish Islamic rule. Okay, so this was political in nature, and this made this movement vibrant in India, and it was a controversial objective. Okay, so when you look into the Islamic reform, tradition of Prophet must be given strict importance and it has to be followed. Quran must be strictly followed. Offerings at the shrines etc. are prohibited. There are the celebration of certain festivals like Shabi Barat etc. to be prohibited. All these are actually un-Islamic. So, but now with time, all these practices are actually accommodated or incorporated in Islamic system because of the interaction with Hindus and also with different religions. So they want to revive it back in during the time of 7th century. Okay, so when you look into Islamic reform, tradition of Prophet must be given importance. That is one objective, so I'm not writing it. So tradition of Prophet Muhammad must be given importance. Quran must be strictly followed. Quran must be strictly followed. Offerings are prohibited. So if you remember in Brahmo Samaj also, when I've discussed about Brahmo Samaj, I've told you idol worship prohibited, animal sacrifices prohibited, offerings are prohibited. So here also offerings at shrines etc. prohibited. These are un-Islamic and these are, you know, influenced influenced by Hinduism, because all these are came to Islam because of the influence of Hinduism. Okay, then festivals like Shabi Barat etc. are rejected. Okay, so basically the tradition of Indian Muslims which they thought that un-Islamic are rejected or prohibited. It happens with all religion. In all religions, rather than what is written in the holy book, there will be certain practices which will come out of with, you know, interaction with different cultures and historic factors. Okay, so here also the exactly same thing happened. Even Islam also was not homogeneous in India. Okay, and Wahhabis thought that Islam is one, so all the Muslims should be one and their practice should also be the same. But it is not that easy. It is very difficult because in India you can see a lot of different cultural groups, right? But this movement was not ended even after the issues, and it is based on an ideology. Something which is based on an ideology will never end. It will take rebirth in different forms, and that's what we are actually going to discuss in this session. So I hope you understood about what they mean by a reform Islamic system. Whatever they thought as un-Islamic, they opposed or they rejected. Now let's look into the second part of this, that is establish Islamic rule. Okay, establish Islamic rule. So basically they want to convert India as Darul Islam, that is land of peace, from Darul Harb. That means currently India is actually a Darul Harb, that means land of infidels or land of non-believers, and they want to convert Darul Harb to Darul Islam, that is land of peace or land of believers. Okay, so Darul Harb to Darul Islam. So convert India from Darul Harb to Darul Islam, that is land of peace. And they formed a guerrilla army, and which was a armed militant group. Okay, so guerrilla army, all these can be asked as prelims question. And there was a lot of direct confrontation with Wahhabis and state. Okay, see, till 1839 Wahhabis and the ruler of Punjab at that time, Ranjit Singh, they were in direct confrontation, and soon Punjab was annexed by the East India Company. Then there was a direct confrontation between state and the Wahhabis. Okay, so in 1830 there was a famous war, that was Battle of Bala. Okay, and this place is presently in Pak occupied Kashmir, POK. So during this war, Said Ahmed of Rai Bareli, one of the top leader, actually died. Okay, and he was declared as Said Ahmed Shahid. Okay, after the death, so Shahid. And then this war was declared as jihad. So war against Punjab now declared as jihad. Okay, so what I want to tell you is jihad is a word when you're writing or when you're using, it has to be very careful. You need to be very careful, because this is one word which was misunderstood by many people, misinterpreted by media, and misrepresented and misused by Muslims itself. Okay, if you look into dictionary, the actual meaning of this you will see as holy war. Okay, so actually European media misrepresented or misinterpreted this word jihad. And dictionary, if you see, you will see the literal meaning as holy war, but it is actually not correct. If you try to know, or if you try to go in depth of it, it is having 3 different layers. So let me tell you what are that. It is actually, the first layer is fight evils from within. If there are some evils, you have to fight from within. So that is the first stage, fight evils from within. And then fight against evils of society, fight evils of society. And third stage, fight for truth even if you die. Okay, that means for the goodness of Allah. So you fight for the truth, for the goodness of Allah. So this is the one which is actually misinterpreted. So you are saying you are going to die for Allah. Okay, so for the goodness of Allah. So fight for truth, and this is actually taken and misinterpreted, misused and misunderstood by people. So even if you see, there was a war between Barber versus Rana Sanga in 1529. So Battle of Khanwa. Khanwa was a place in Rajasthan. So actually Barber declared this war as jihad, and we know Barber did not fought for Islam, neither for Allah. It was only for him he fought this war. But when you're fighting against Rana Sanga, he was very powerful and his army was very powerful. So the soldiers of Barber was actually not ready to fight against the powerful king Rana Sanga. So he declared this war against Rana Sanga as jihad. And once you declared this war against Rana Sanga as jihad, it actually worked like a medicine. And now the soldiers are ready to fight, and they fought this war and they won this war. Okay, so this is how people misuse this word jihad. Okay, so people are not educated, so jihad just work like a medicine. So once Barber declared this war as jihad, now they are ready to do anything because you are doing it for Allah. That is how it is understood or conceived by the not educated people, right? So again, in 1568, even a king like Akbar also used this. So in the war between Akbar versus Uday Singh, 1568, in Chittoor, which is again a place in Rajasthan. So Uday Singh was actually son of Rana Sanga and the father of Rana Pratap. Okay, so even Akbar also used this for political gain or political purpose. So what I want to tell you is Wahhabis gave the call for jihad. So basically I want to tell you that the meaning you will see as holy war, it is actually not correct. It was misused, misunderstood and misinterpreted. Misused by Muslims only, and misinterpreted by European media, and misunderstood by we all, okay, public. But the actual meaning of jihad, if you need to understand, here it is having 3 stages. This is how you can understand. The fight evils from within, then you try to fight the evils of society, and then fight for the truth for Allah even if you die. Okay, so this is actually the meaning of jihad. So Wahhabis again were misusing the term jihad, and they misinterpreted and they tried to spread different meaning of jihad when they declared the war against Punjab as jihad. Wahhabis declared jihad in northern parts of India like Northwest Frontier Province, okay, NWFP, Punjab, Bihar and Delhi. So after the death of Syed Ahmad of Rai Bareli, the headquarter was shifted to Patna. So headquarter was shifted to Patna, and 2 important leaders during this time, Inayat Ali and Vilayat Ali. So don't be confused with the Ali brothers that we have discussed later. We have already done this discussion when we discussed about Khilafat non-cooperation movement, that Ali brothers and this 2 Alis are different. Inayat Ali and Vilayat Ali, they were the Wahhabi leaders after the death of Syed Ahmad of Rai Bareli. So they started revolting against East India Company. As I have already told you, when Punjab was captured or annexed by East India Company, now the direct confrontation was between Wahhabis and East India Company. And Wahhabis actually continued jihad even after Punjab was annexed by the company. Now, if you discuss about 1857 revolt, during the time of 1857 revolt itself, I have told you Wahhabis were actively participating in the 1857 revolt, and few of the Muslim leaders like Maulvi Ahmadullah, Maulvi Pir Ali, etc. were Wahhabi leaders. And in the opinion of many scholars, that Wahhabi movement or Wahhabi's participation in the revolt of 1857 was actually much more organized than the other rulers and army members, etc. Okay, so, and Wahhabis having a huge arms also. I've already told you they have a huge guerrilla army, and they are the militant groups. They have arms, and they supplied arms also during 1857 revolt. Okay. And when we discussed about 1857 revolt was crushed, many Wahhabi leaders actually hanged, and most of them were actually sent to Andaman Nicobar Islands in that jail, the Sasai Kalapani jail. Okay, so, and in 1872, if you remember when we discussed about Lord Mayo, I've told you only one governor general who was assassinated or who was killed in India was Lord Mayo, and he was actually killed by a Pathan convict, Sher Ali. Okay, who was Wahhabi leader, and that itself will tell you the anger that the Wahhabis had against British, because the Wahhabi movement actually crushed along with 1857 revolt. And after 1857 revolt, these Wahhabi leaders were tried in Patna, okay, and which is known as Patna trial, and Ambala, which is known as Ambala trial. So Wahhabi movement or Wahhabis actually got crushed. Many of them were hanged. Most of the people were imprisoned. They were sent to the Andaman Nicobar Islands jail, Sasai Kalapani, and Patna trial, Ambala trial is related to Wahhabi movement. Okay. Now, after this, now Wahhabi movement got crushed. I've told you something which is based on an ideology will never end. What is their ideology? Establish Islamic State, okay, and reform Islam. So these are the two objectives. Now they are not going to fight with bullets and guns because it got suppressed already. You cannot fight against state for a long time. So now they started fighting ideologically. And in 1868, they founded Darul Uloom. Okay, it is actually derived from the word ilm. Ilm means knowledge. Okay, so it actually means house of knowledge. It was set up in Deoband, Saharanpur. Deoband, Saharanpur in UP. So it was founded by Wahhabi leaders. Who were the founders of this? Muhammad Qasim Nanotwi. Muhammad Qasim Nanotwi and Rashid Ahmad Gangohi. Okay, so the idea of school is basically to teach the original Islamic scriptures to the young Muslim boys. Okay, to teach original Islamic scriptures to young Muslim boys. So keep this point in mind, only boys. When we discuss about Syed Ahmad Khan, he starts something similar to this, and there boys and girls will come. Okay, so how they're going to teach? By using Quran, Hadith. So what is Hadith? It is a book having records of Prophet Muhammad's sayings and actions. Okay, so Prophet Muhammad's sayings and actions, records of Muhammad's sayings and actions, and fiqh. Fiqh. So this is fiqh is actually Islamic jurisprudence. Islamic jurisprudence. Okay, so interpretation of Quran and Hadith by some scholars in medieval times. It's all about interpretation of Quran and Hadith. So this is about Prophet Muhammad's saying and actions and Quran. Okay, so through this three, they are going to teach the original Islamic scriptures to young Muslim boys. So when we talk about fiqh, based on that, there are different schools like Shafi school. You can see different schools among Muslims. Shafi school. So then Hanbali school. Okay, and then Maliki school. Okay, then Hanafi school. etc. These are different schools, and Indian Muslims are generally followers of this Hanafi school. There was a question before in prelims: Mughal rulers are followers of which school? Actually, most of the Indian Muslims are following them, so it is Hanafi school. But Keralite Muslims are followers of Shafi schools. Okay, Keralite Muslims are followers of Shafi school. This was actually asked as a prelims question. Mughal rulers are followers of which school, or Indian Muslims are generally followers of which school? Hanafi school. And Shia Muslims, there is one more school, Jafri school. Okay, so this four actually related to Sunni Muslims, and this is related to Shia Muslims. Okay, so what I want to tell you is, even though it was crushed, the movement is still alive. It is there in India and Pakistan, but it changed its style and shape. See, when we talk about Islamic State now, if you get a question on Islamic State, it is actually coming from where? It is actually coming from Wahabi movement. So if you're writing any general studies answer, or if you're writing any essay, you can actually start, or you can give a much better perspective to that particular essay if you can start from Wahabi movement. If you discuss about Wahabi movement and the objective of Wahabi movement, it is crystal clear that establishment of Islamic State is their objective. But the movement got crushed. But something which is based on an ideology will never end. It will take rebirth in different forms, and that's what you can see this Islamic State. Like Maoism, okay, Marxism, all these things are based on an ideology. You can never suppress this movement. It will rebirth in different forms. So here also Islamic State, if you are writing any answer, it should be starting with Wahabi movement. Your introduction should be Wahabi movement. Then you can develop a very beautiful essay. You can give much better perspective to your answer. So I hope this is clear for all of you. If you have any doubt, you can get in touch with me here, or you can join this Telegram channel for all my videos. Okay, so see you guys. Thank you.